first?
Yeah, I'm gonna make it a little short and simple, but I think my favorite was all the feuds between Vince McMahon and Steve Austin. It's just, and when I think of the Attitude Era, like, that was like the biggest thing going on to me, and it was great. Like, I think that's what brought the WWE to that, like, next level, winning the wars and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. The Stone Cold, Steve Austin, Vince McMahon feud's awesome. For me, my personal favorite of all time is going to be actually one of two. I love Raven. I think he's one of the greatest minds in professional wrestling. Many people don't realize, I guess, how smart he is. But two of the storylines he was involved in are just awesome. Definitely look into them if you haven't seen them. Him versus the Sandman in ECW. Awesome storyline. It involved Sandman's kid, his wife, and the Sandman, and Raven kind of taking them over to his side and stealing them from the Sandman. It was awesome. And then you also have Raven and Tommy Dreamer, and they kind of said that there was some back history there with Raven and Tommy Dreamer's real life wife, Beulah McGillicuddy, and there was some swapping of Beulah going back and forth in ECW, and they're just two awesome storylines, and definitely check them out if you haven't.
I really like, too, the stuff with the Undertaker and the Ministry, all that type of stuff that was going on. Just, I don't know, the Attitude Era, there was so many different things going on.
And that reminds me of Vince, that infamous scene of Vince pulling off the robe and revealing that it was him. And
I used to love when they put people on, like, the Undertaker logo, the cross thing. I made one for my wrestling figures. And, that was awesome.
And again, it goes back to back in the Attitude Era. I mean, everybody talks about how great it was, and it really was, because you had all these storylines that were intertwined. Like, look, you brought up Austin and Vince, and then you have the Ministry of Darkness, and eventually those two things overtwined and interlapped, and it was just awesome. Everything was,
And I think we were talking about this, too, about how there was a build-up. Like, now it's just like matches are put together, and, I mean, for Survivor Series, matches were made a week before, and there was no build-up to them.
Day of, Ryback and Mark Henry.
Yeah, it's just, that's like one of the best parts. It's like Christmas. Like, the build-up for Christmas is just as good as Christmas Day, and then after that, it's over. It's like the build-up and then the match, and then there's no build-up that much anymore. I mean, I'm glad that this Orton-Cena thing happened right after Survivor Series.
Yeah, as it should have. You got to start building up for these pay-per-views. As soon as they're done, like you said, it's like Christmas. You got to start looking towards next year once Christmas is over, that's our favorite storylines. Our next question that we had come in, person is Pop_Kitty. They actually asked our favorite songs and bands. I think that's, I don't know if they were really going for a wrestling theme, but we're going to take it that way. I don't know if they're asking for our actual songs and bands. So when you submit questions, just, keep them wrestling themed. But we're going to spin this and say our favorite entrance themes to make it our favorite song. So for me, my favorite entrance theme of all time has got to be either Stone Cold's or DX. Both of those songs, they got you hyped. That glass shattering, you knew Austin was coming out to kick ass. The DX, the little Are You Ready? I mean, those two things, they're awesome. And again, goes back to the Attitude Era, which I have a feeling we're going to be talking about a lot on these podcasts.
Yeah, I tried to pick, because I used to never listen to music. I used to listen to entrance themes. Like, I would have CDs of entrance themes, and when I had headphones on, I was listening to wrestling music. So it was really hard to pick them, especially, when you played with wrestling figures, you needed them to come out to the wrestling theme. But so I picked them along, different time periods. I love the Ultimate Warrior song, and I think his theme, one of the things that made it was the Ultimate Warrior running down to the end, he came out so fast and then just slamming up and down on the ropes and stuff. And then I really, really am a fan of Jericho's, especially when he debuted in the WWE and the whole Titantron video and stuff like that. And then I don't know what it is about Brock Lesnar's the theme song, but yeah, I love it. I made it a text tone at the beginning of it. It's crazy.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar is definitely good too. Bringing up the Ultimate Warrior, that makes me think of the Legion of Doom. It was another one of those.
Yeah, there were so many good ones, and I mean, there's still some good stuff now, but I think WWE goes a little. It's cool that like they've got actual bands and stuff to do entrance themes, and but I do notice they do like a lot of for not wrestlers themes, but pay-per-views. It's always like a lot of like rap and some dubstep type stuff.
Yeah, and then there's weird bands on there that I'm not interested in, and I don't know. And then the whole country thing on Raw last week, that was a mess.
Yeah.
Stay away from that. Don't do rock country ever again, please. But yeah, I mean, some current favorites of mine, I really like Randy Orton's, if we're going to stick with, just kind of homemade themes, I guess.
Yeah, I liked the Triple H first Motorhead one. I don't really like the new one.
Yeah, and he kind of flip-flops with what one he's coming out
Yeah.
to, too. They mix it up. So yeah, you got anything else for entrance music?
Trying to think, because there is a lot of them, and there is a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like the ones I picked are some that I really like, but currently, I used to like CM Punk's Kill Switch one better, but I think the new one is just kind of. I kind of got used to it, yeah. But I think like when I said that, you told me about how he used his songs that he used to use when he was in Ring of Honor.
Yeah,
and stuff.
he used a lot of. He used Cult of Personality for a little bit in Ring of Honor. That brings up probably my favorite theme of all time. Now that you said that, for Punk in Ring of Honor was he used one of AFI's songs. It's an awesome entrance with everybody banging on the guardrail and everything. That's just awesome. Look that up if you haven't. Check it out. CM Punk's AFI song in Ring of Honor.
I think what we should do now. Who do you think has the worst theme? I think you guys should let us know. I think one of my most disliked one is Stephanie McMahon right now. It's terrible.
Yeah, definitely Stephanie. She's got a shitty theme. Let me think. Whose theme music do I hate right now? Great Khali, but I think I just hate him in general. So on to our next question. It actually comes from Pup_Kitty again. They want to know, do we prefer the older style or the more modern style of wrestling? For this, I'm not sure exactly how older they're talking about, but since I've been watching some Mid-South wrestling, I'm going to say back in the 70s and 80s. So we'll compare 70s and 80s till now. So what's your take on that?
I mean, I think I'm more... The stuff that's going on now, just... And like, when you say that, do you still mean like, Attitude Era type stuff too?
Yeah. We'll take 70s and 80s, and then we'll say end of Hogan WWE and on is modern.
I like the more modern
Or we'll
stuff.
say Attitude Era on is modern.
Yeah, I really like that. Like even now, I mean, some of the moves they do are just awesome. Like the curb stomp that Seth Rollins does, and like some of them are really creative. Where I know they've got rid of like the pile drivers, and I mean they just brought back Orton's punt, but like there's some cool stuff that these guys think of where they put stuff together where it's like, man, that could really hurt if they don't do it right.
Yeah, I think it's definitely two different styles completely. I mean, you have the more modern style. There's a lot more flashy moves, as Ange mentioned, with like that curb stomp and like some of the flips that these guys bust out and stuff. So it's definitely more exciting. I like the older style, so it's definitely harder for me to decide. The older style had, I think, like more storytelling. There was more, focusing in on a body part, working it over. And then, having that payoff at the end of the match. So there was more of that going on, but, I think they're both really good styles.
I'm not talking down on any of them. It's just like the idea, like even CM Punk, the go to sleep move, I mean, he just puts them on his shoulder, but he drops their face on his knee. And like even a lot too now, I've noticed so many people just kick people in the face. and like Daniel Bryan, like it's just even I think Del Rio has some awesome kicks.
Yeah.
And
but I know you don't like him.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, it's just like it's all you could be like, oh, he's just kicking him in the face, but yeah, he's kicking him in the face.
Yeah, definitely some awesome kicks going on. Del Rio, Daniel Bryan, definitely busting out some cool moves. And our last question that we have today is from my friend JT, and he wants to know our thoughts on the possibility of Daniel Bryan being abducted, leading into a heel turn to set up Punk vs. Bryan at WrestleMania. I don't know if it's going to lead to a Daniel Bryan heel turn. I think he's too over with the fans right now for them to make him a heel. If anything, I would say Punk, if they were going to face each other, I think Punk would end up being the heel in that. He's just better on the mic and better at getting people to hate him, even though he is so good. I don't think Daniel Bryan would be able to pull that kind of emotion from people to make them actually hate him again.
Yeah, I mean, I think seeing CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania is like, I think everyone would love to see that.
Oh, yeah.
But I think they're gonna stick with Bryan again. With the Wyatts right now, but I mean, who knows? Like, I think once we figure out what happened to Daniel Bryan and what he's gonna be like when he returns from this abduction thing, that might make it a little clearer. But yeah, I mean, I don't think Daniel Bryan's gonna be heel for a while. He might be in a situation where you won't ever see Cena be a heel for a good amount of time because they can't. Like, I don't think they could turn Cena heel. And with CM Punk, the Wyatts took him. I mean, but I think there's a possibility that CM Punk is gonna feud with Roman Reigns and to get Roman Reigns to, break out and be that next big guy.
Yeah, I think with Roman Reigns, we kind of saw some of that with Survivor Series. He eliminated, I believe, it was tied for the most ever eliminations in Survivor Series history in that match. So they definitely have some confidence in pushing him, and they're going to put some build behind him. I just hope it doesn't happen too soon. I don't want to see him jump the gun and do what they did with Daniel Bryan and do what they did with countless other stars where they push them to the moon and then nothing happens with them.
Yeah, I really love where the Shield. I think they're great. WWE has done a great job with them. I mean, when we were at Survivor Series and just them coming through the crowd is just so powerful. Those dudes are they're just mean and like they're good together. But I mean, it's gonna happen eventually. But like you said, not too soon.
Yeah, and we're talking on the car right up. I don't see Dean Ambrose turning heel. Turning face when they split up. I see him staying heel. Seth, he'll probably remain somewhere. He could go either way. But I definitely see Roman Reigns being their next breakout face from that group.
Mm-hmm.
So moving forward, and kind of tying into with Roman Reigns, we got some, he busts out some of the past moves that come from his family based on his Samoan background. So we're going to tie into some of the current wrestlers using moves from the past. First up I have is, like I said, I've been watching some of Mid-South Wrestling, and you got Mark Henry now doing the Junkyard Dog's headbutt, which I think is awesome. He gets down on all fours, crawls across the ring, hits him in the head. It's a change from Mark Henry, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, before we get into them, how do you feel? Do you like wrestlers using other wrestlers' moves from the past, or are you like, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I think it's cool. It pays homage to those guys, and I mean, there's only so many moves that can be invented. You can't make everything new, and why reinvent the wheel? Some of these moves are just perfect. Maybe not Junkyard Dog's headbutt, but some of the other moves that we're going to discuss, they're awesome moves. So why not keep them around?
Another one which you know about it as soon as he does it is Dolph Ziggler doing the Famouser, and Michael Cole having to let you know Billy Gunn is the guy who holds that move, and I don't know why he has to mention it every time.
Well, it's kind of like how Michael Cole just says vintage all the time. I think he just has these catchphrases that he just says. But yeah, Dolph Ziggler, he looks just like Billy Gunn, does that move. It's what Billy Gunn could have been, I think.